ठीक है. And मैं तुहिना मैम को yeah, so I'm live, right? Yeah. Okay. And Tuina ma'am is joining in a minute. Yeah. Yes, so we just thought of switching on the live chat because it is a very sought after feature of YouTube, and we thought why not make it a bit interesting for everyone, and everybody can join and talk to you, and they can put up their questions. We are really sorry for the inconvenience, but
Problems.
that's how
I can't
technology goes.
see the chat yet. I'd love to see what people are saying simultaneously so that I can.
It, it,
Um,
I'll definitely try, and we are recording all the messages, so we'll definitely send you all the messages. And
okay.
so we were on the topic of skills that students require these days or freshers require that they can get industry ready and get better jobs for themselves. So getting a bit deeper into the topic, we would like to ask you for some tips for social media presence or building our own strong profile. Like LinkedIn is really famous these days, and everybody is trying to build their professional journeys on LinkedIn and on Instagram as well. So, what do you think are some tips that people can follow, or some things that people can do?
I think if you look at the scene right now with content creators, literally people have made themselves as famous as Bhuvan Bam and Prajakta Kohli, starting and using apps like YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook. So I think it's extremely important if you want to be in the content marketing, content creation journey to start off with as many apps as possible to start and put out everything about you which makes a difference that you think in a field of your interest. So don't shy away from existing on these social media apps. They're free, there is no barrier to entry. All that you have to do is curate an experience for somebody who wants to probably come and hire you. So for example, if you want to operate as a freelancer, it's extremely important to have a well maintained social media profile anywhere and everywhere. So I mean, to think of it in this way, that today social media apps and your grids have literally I mean, done away with the use of a portfolio. So your CV or your resume, if you want to say visually, is your social media platform. And if you are somebody who wants to do a traditional corporate job, and there's nothing wrong with that because I also do it, um, maintaining a good LinkedIn account is a must. Knowing how to present what work you do is an absolute requirement. And I don't, and to start off with, I don't know how many of you've done this or not, but the best way to know how to present or write about what needs to go on your LinkedIn account is to look at similar LinkedIn accounts and people of your seniors, of industry experts, of how they define or how they bring out their own work. So all of this, all of your brand building, your personal brand building, your making sure that you establish yourself as a creator, a contributor, um, and also as a freelancer. I think all of this requires, because we're talking of a very broad spectrum here, I don't know which one category to address this to, but to think of it in this way, that your brand building is going to eventually affect you. You have to make sure that you're seen. You have to make sure that when somebody comes looking for, um, say, a writer in their spectrum, in their startup, in their organization, they think of you immediately. And that to a point which is making sure that you tell your own personal circle, your personal network about the work that you're capable of and the work that you're doing. So, sometimes it feels like a drag when somebody talks about what articles they've written on Medium and they share it on Facebook. It might look like, it looks like personally when I try to talk about what sessions I'm doing on Instagram Live and I share them on my Facebook and other apps. I feel like I don't know why I'm doing this, but this is very important. And I've experienced this firsthand that your own personal circle, the people you went to school with, the people you went to college with, the people you went to university with, these are the people who will end up giving you your biggest gigs in life. So it's important to make sure that your personal network is well aware of the work that you do, of what all is your offering in terms of a resource person. So constantly, or every once in a while, feel free to talk about what you're doing in life, share a few posters, write a few articles, get the conversation started. Because once, think of it in this way, like I'm surfing Facebook and I know that for me, my organization has a requirement of, say, an engineer, or they have an opening for a data scientist, or they have an opening for a writer or a content creator, a marketer. When I see somebody posting about those things on social media, my instant impulse is going to be, hey, this person could actually fit in here. And I would like to kind of reach out to that person because I already know them in some way or the other. So, extremely important to use your own personal network and let them know about what all you're doing. I don't mean to say go spam. I don't mean to say, ki, matlab, just become like a human spam machine and keep talking about it every day. But no, every week, maybe whatever frequency that you think will work best for you, with you staying modest and not becoming overtly into promoting yourself. I think it's important to talk about yourself as well, because consider the job market right now, consider everything that's happening in the world. We need people we know to pull us up. So one of my advices is going to be, start with all social media platforms wherever you think it can benefit you. Is free. You got to do is mirror your content across your platforms, and don't undermine the power of your personal network. One more small thing I just mentioned before I wind up this answer is that extremely important is to go and attend in person networking sessions. So at any given point in time in a city like Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata, and even tier two cities to a large extent have interest group meetings. So how can you know about them? You can know them on Facebook apps. Facebook groups. You can know them on Instagram, LinkedIn. Everywhere there are like these meetings that are happening, which are pertaining to your special interests. So, for example, I am interested in poetry. It's advisable for me to go and meet people who are like-minded, because they are the ones who will eventually patch you up with somebody, help you again in your life. Like I mentioned, it's all a network, and networking sounds like a evil thought, sounds like it's an artificial superficial word, but it's not. If you genuinely go ahead and go with the intent of meeting new people, meeting like-minded people who could potentially help you out, there's no harm in it. So invest. I'm not saying just go every time, but see wherever there is an activity that excites you, or an interest group meeting that you think could benefit you. Please invest in that. Most of them are free. Some of them have like these nominal participation charges, but I think it's a worthy investment if you plan to stick around, because you have to know the right set of people. And I'm going to emphasize this a lot. I know there's a huge nepotism debate that's going on in the country right now, but I'm going to emphasize this a lot, that knowing the right people is important. And you might come from a background like I did, that I nobody in my family is in the business of, say, writing or being in the entertainment business, or either like my parents are academicians, and they don't come from, say, a finance or marketing background as well. So for me, all of the people that I've known in my life have been through networks, through my college, through my school. And it is advisable to know the right set of people and invest in them, not in a selfish way, but to know them generally and to help them out when they need help as well. So Yeah, like a very long answer for a nice little question that you asked. But I think it's important to let people know that personal branding is literally splashing your hands in the water and letting people know that you can do something.
Thank you so much to Hina, and we've learned a lot from your answer. The first thing being that building networks is really important, and not only building online networks, but building networks in
In
general
person.
on offline mode is also very important. And also
Very
getting
good.
back to your old networks is very important. You have really picked up a good point. So I think a lot of students must have got some idea on that. And I would also like to know on your perspective, a lot of small businesses are starting to put their product forward on Instagram.
I'm sorry, your voice is a little muffled. I couldn't hear the question. Could you please repeat?
Yeah, so there is a lot of buzz about Instagram marketing. It is the second largest app in the world after WhatsApp. So there is a lot of buzz about that, and your page is doing pretty well in terms of engagement, in terms of people liking your content a lot, and in terms of in general also. So how do you think you can build that sort of a community?
So, building an Instagram community is your question, right? How do
Yeah,
you go about? Okay,
yeah,
so the first thing is I'm going to tell you this. Everybody thinks that marketing is the right way to go when you want to create content on social media, to know the right, like I mentioned, to know the right set of people, to be seen with the right set of people. While all of that is important, and I'm not going to undermine it, it is a fickle little world. It is something that you have to push. What really, really, truly matters is how well you understand what you want to push. So firstly, if you're somebody who wants to create an Instagram audience, who wants to grow online, to have their own community, first understand and ask yourself, what is it that you want to promote? Is it going to be just consumerism? Is it just going to be you want to exist to earn? You just want to push products, you want to advertise for consumeristic products and values and services? Is it why you want to exist? Is that your purpose? Because a lot of people are doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. Brands also need people who can hold up their advertising values and be a spokesperson to the common people. So of course that's an avenue, but I think more than that, have this conversation with yourself and ask why and what do you want to create on social media. Once you have your question and your answer very clear with you, proceed to know and follow this little step that I'm going to tell you. So, for personal brand building and for growing a community, I think there is this little mnemonic that I made, which starts with A, E, I, O, U, the vowels of the English alphabet. So, the first one is A for audience. Once you know what you want to do, figure out who your audience is going to be. Figure out, is it going to be 25-year-olds and or younger than that? Is it going to be, say, slightly senior people? Is it going to be your age range and whatever range that you exist? Is it going to be young moms, fit dads, whoever? Like, you will have to segment, like the way you do it in marketing, to understand who your audience is. You have to do it when you're building your own community as well, because then your communication gets targeted. It has a larger impact. It has a higher chance of conversion. After you understand your audience, move to E, which is exposure and exploration. So, firstly, to know what community to build, you have to get an exposure of and explore through communities. So get and I mean do your research. And this all of this is going to actually give you one final answer, which is do your research, right? So research through communities, research through content creators who you look up to, be it Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, whoever, wherever that they exist. Understand what works
so
for them,
defining your target audience
yeah,
is
absolutely.
very
Like what works for them, what could work for you. All of those research bits you get done with. AE के बाद आता है I is get inspired. So after you're done researching, you find and pick amongst many, not one. If you plagiarize from one, I mean, if you copy from one, it's plagiarism. But if you copy from several people, take ideas and inspiration from several people, it's not plagiarism. It's getting inspiration. So get inspired from the works of several people. Note down, jot down, make a chart, do an Excel, whatever works for you. But have your understanding clear about how to proceed. then go on to a e I के बाद o आ जाता है. So you basically from o, I'm forgetting what I had done for o. e, once but okay, like just like organization, figured it. So o say you organize. Basically what you do is, after doing your initial research, you organize and structure. Like I mentioned, I think I've covered that in the previous point itself. Structure your organization, structure your thoughts. Basically start with audience ke liye, this is what I want to do. Conversations ke liye, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do when I try to make content. This is going to be my frequency. This is going to be the number of people I plan to reach out to. These are going to be my targets. So it has to come from a structural approach. It can't be haywire. It can't be without a target or a goal. So I would highly recommend that you organize your thoughts. And with you in the last set of the vowels, you is for undertake. So all of the research that you've done, you could be inspired by 1,000 people. You could have seen like a ton of people's content. But if you don't undertake, and if you don't plan out and actually sit down to doing it, it'll never happen. So I don't know, there's this very famous line that sometimes all you need is just 20 seconds of insane courage. And that's what I'm going to say. Just get that 20 seconds of insane courage and create that blog, create that um, account that you've been wanting to make. Like, create that one thing that defines you really well. So yeah, that's my mnemonic of social media community building. So undertake the research, understand what is it and why is it that you want to exist. And when you know your why, you will know how. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so we got your point. And now my next question would be about the whole COVID scenario, since a lot of changes have been taking place in the market, in every business segment. So, what do you think are the major changes, since everybody is getting into online business now? Everybody is looking forward to start their online businesses. So, what do you think is the recent trend or the recent most sought after skill, or something that is really picking up the speed, and that can help content marketers or marketers in general?
I think very interesting is to note that how the world was functioning equally strongly both online and offline before COVID. But now the entire pressure has shifted online. And I mean, very interestingly, I just made this observation during the entire scenario. It's been 4 months that India has been under a lockdown and we've been home. One thing that I've noticed is, for most products, for most brands, their communications became their most important products, because when business is stalled, you want to keep having the conversations with your audience, you want to keep having the same narration, the expression going on. So I think most organizations treated their communications as their product. So it's a very, very important and significant takeaway for any marketer to know that kuch bhi ho jaye, like whatever come what may, marketing will always survive with communications, and communications always have to be on the top of everything. So with the COVID situation, I think, of course, the trend is now everything is moving online. It's offline interfaces are going to shrink. Also, the worldwide depression that the I mean, economy is getting into, the worldwide depression that everybody's seeing across the world. Of course, that's going to affect um, everything moving forward. But the stress on online, the ones who will actually survive are going to be people having sensible communications online. So with the COVID situation, of course, the safety angle of everything, the hygiene factor of everything in terms of a personal delivery of a product are going to be paramount. But I think the ones who will be able to make people believe that they were here for them and they were not having tone deaf conversations. Like a lot of brands that I've seen recently have done lockdown sales and corona sales and COVID situation sales. Like, and these are literal brand communications. I'm not making them up. I've actually written to a few brands recently and told them, you cannot say lockdown sale. It's a very insensitive thing to promote. So I think eventually the brands that are going to survive are going to be the ones having sensible communications, having fair communication, and the ones who are going to talk to consumers as human beings and not going to peddle their products every single time. So a lot of times I feel like brands are talking in this tonality, which is, say, the world's going through something extremely sad, but we are here for you. But hey, there's a 5% discount to buy a product of ours. So I do understand that brands are under pressure to sell because everything is stalled. I understand you, but don't peddle a motive which is commercial with a messaging or a thought which is for human beings. So I think my view and my vote is going to be on products and brands that are going to do well in the future, on the ones that undertake communications which are sensible, well thought out, well crafted, and are addressing the human issue more than the commercial motives.
Yeah, so that was a really insightful answer. And so I read a lot of questions in the comments, and everybody is really liking your session, and everybody is asking a lot of questions. So I would like to pick up a few of them in our conversation. So one of them is by Shreyank Juneja, which says that my question is it justifiable to earn money via ads and clickbaits on something as pure as personal blog? As a marketer, do you prefer to advertise on such websites?
So yeah, very interesting question, Shreyans. I think what's very important is to know that building an organic audience is obviously should be your first choice, because paid marketing could not give you the returns that you're looking for. As much as you can push things organically, which is to say, do non-paid activities to boost your audience and boost your engagement, that's going to be better. But if you want to undertake it, take it in a way which is not direct. So, for example, if you're a content creator on Instagram ads could actually help you grow your audience, and it's not a bad thing. It's better than buying your followers from a robotic website from somewhere. So definitely, Instagram ads could be something that you can look into. You can look into paid advertising with other organizations or brands or Instagram pages itself, who could probably help you do better. But I will say focus more on content than on advertising, because even if one post goes viral on Instagram, it could get you the traction that you can't even imagine. So of course, these are things that could help grow you an audience. Indirect marketing could actually be great. I would rather suggest collaborations, partnerships, mutually promoting content of other creators over doing paid marketing. Personally, that's my take. But otherwise, I mean, I don't see it's wrong in any way. I don't think it's wrong. It's to each their own. Yeah.
Yeah, so promoting other competitors or other collaborators is a very uh, it is a trend in the market these days, but it sounds a bit off to somebody who is new. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
and I mean, it doesn't have to be from a place of thinking through it. Like, you could genuinely enjoy somebody else's content and share their work, and in turn, when if they like your content, they can share it too. So it's going to create this cross functional cross promotion opportunity for you. So it can actually, generally, I also share people's work who I genuinely like, and I don't ever do it for a paid creator. Like, no
yeah,
creator ever pays me to promote their work, and I don't do that to anybody either. So I think that's one thing you can learn.
yeah. Okay. So there is another question from Chetna Rana, and she says that she's a B Pharma student, and what extra skills she can learn in brand management and digital marketing to get a job in TV.
Okay, very nice question, Chetna. So I think what we can do to get a role in brand management is to um, if you want to get into digital marketing, of course, do a digital marketing course. That's going to give you an edge, because it's a specialized field in itself. So I would suggest doing some courses from Upgrad or Udemy, or or any of the actual courses from TASE and all of these organizations, because a lot of them now offer courses in brand market in digital marketing. For brand
Even
marketing,
Upgrad is offering a lot of courses, a lot of
yeah,
online
I mean,
courses.
I have seen like a ton of ads from Upgrad about this digital marketing course with Micah, and I think it's worth exploring for anybody who might be interested. If you plan to be in brand marketing, so I'm going to tell you something. You don't get to do brand marketing right from the outset. So as a fresh grad, it's rare that you will get a role in brand marketing because it's a slightly more nuanced role. It's something that requires some years of experience before you can understand the tonality, the conversations that a brand should be having. So if you want to eventually end up there, I would say get a strong grip in or an analyst level role in a marketing firm or a startup, which could help you create that understanding right from the outset. There are no, like, finance has courses in CFA and CA and other, like, a ton of digital and a ton of, like, certification courses from, say, the stock exchanges and stuff like that. There are very few courses for marketing that you can do. Of course, there are targeted courses on Upgrad and Udemy. So if you're a B Pharma student who probably will not have a lot of context into marketing, I would suggest picking up the textbooks of class 11th and 12th of a commerce student and reading through to get your basics corrected. That's the first step that you're going to. I mean, it's going to be a very lucid read. It's not very hard. You don't have to mug up anything because you're not going to appear for an exam, but just get your basics corrected. Otherwise, there are very nice books that you can refer to. I'm thinking which one I should recommend to you. So there's somebody called Seth Godin. He has a range of books that he's written about branding, about marketing. So definitely check out those. And I'm not getting a lot of books in my mind right now about which books you can refer to, but I think reading additionally could be extremely beneficial. Of course, Seth Godin, check out, and once you're googling Seth Godin, you'll get a ton of other recommendations of people similar to him. Do check out their books and their works also. It's going to be extremely beneficial to start reading up and creating that that appetite for branding. Also, one more thing you can do is Google has these certification courses for AdWords and other digital marketing avenues. So try and look up those and try to take a few tests of those. Those are certifications that could possibly help you for somebody who's not from a commerce background. These certifications could actually indicate a high level of interest for you to step into it later on. Maybe when you think 3 or 4 years down the line, 3 or 4 years after your experience, you could probably look at doing a brand management role, entering into one. So yeah.
So yeah, thank you for answering the question. And there is one more question from Lakshit Khattar, which says that he works in the business development department of a company of an edutech startup, and he's also a comedian, and he wants to manage both things together. So how did you manage your writing journey and your full time job? So this is something that I want to ask.
So wow, I think Lakshit, if I got the name right, that's amazing because you're doing those two things, which are very diverse but very very crucial and important for somebody who will probably write a few things and keep them ready for that. Like, okay, ये मुझे 10 बजे post करना है, मुझे 6 बजे post करना है. These are the things that I keep jotting down. I think when you have a creative pursuit alongside a full-time job, your brain never stops. It's constantly working, but it's working for something that you are happy and it fuels your soul. So I don't think it should be a problem. So keep at it. If you really really want to do it, my only answer is going to be, I can't give you a timetable or a schedule which will work for you, because it's to each. I mean, it's so different for everybody. But I'll say that passion is one thing that can help you sail through. So if you're really really happy and passionate about it, don't give it up in any way possible.
Yeah, so that is a really good answer, and I think love it because even I am a part-time writer.
So say 300 rupees a day and go on to, of course, a higher budget as high as possible. I think they have a cap. I'll have to check what the cap is. I don't remember it right now. But Instagram marketing has been quite beneficial. If you are a brand that's looking to make your footing, definitely go for it. If you're an individual who's trying to make it big, like I mentioned in my previous 2 3 answers, se pehle abhi the one that I had said, I don't think it's necessary. You can still grow organically. You can still, look at other organic methods and more better methods of promoting, with, say, cross promotion, reaching out to organizations or pages that do shout outs. So that's, I think, a better way of growing. And for brands, I think Instagram ads should be a good bet for you.
Uh, so thank you, ma'am, for the answer. I think Vanshika got her answer. And Nikhil sir is asking a question, and he's asking about when you are going to publish your book and when you are coming out with your book. So that is
So
the
Nikhil sir is being very sweet here, but yeah, no plans as of now actually. Because I feel if a book is a very like sacred thing for me. Like I don't think I can write it without being fully prepared and fully being mindful of what all I'm capable of. So I'm giving me myself that time, and I think hopefully in a few years from now I will probably feel ready for it, and I will not have my imposter syndrome stopping me. So yeah, fingers crossed, but I really want to put in the effort and hard work and put out a good book and not a mediocre one. So I'm just going to hope that in a few years I am worthy of it and I'm able to create something worthwhile. So yeah.
we wish you the best for that, and we hope that we get to read your book very soon. And so another question that we got on the chat is that how to grow educational YouTube channel. So, it is a very relevant question for me as well.
So anything which is directly basis a need has to be मतलब जैसे why do you go and purchase the same toothpaste over and over, or why do you go and purchase the same um, say food item or processed same biscuit over and over? Because it tastes better, right? Like it is better, or the toothpaste is better to use. It's giving you germ kill and giving you a good feeling overall. So I think when you're looking at a need based and not an entertainment based YouTube channel, the metric of success is doing better and making sure that your audience actually understands. The way to market it is going to be कि आप अपनी distribution बढ़ाओ. You try and share your work on Facebook, on other similar groups that talk about education, or you try and reach out to schools and colleges and try to um, market with them. I mean partner with them and try to put your work out there and make sure that they can also see what you're putting out. But the simple answer to this is going to be अगर आपकी videos useful हैं, which is to say कि if I'm a learner and if I watch your work and I feel like wow, all of my doubts have magically disappeared, your YouTube channel is going to work on its own. There is no need for marketing it in any way. So I think for you, I will say look at making your work stronger and better than marketing it, because what's going to work in your favor is more of self improvement than anything else.
So thank you for answering the question. And another question is that how did you deal with writer's block, and how did you deal with writer's block? I
I think this is one of my most asked questions. Um, I think the way to deal with it is to know that it will happen to you eventually, whatever come may, and that some days will be low and some days will be bereft of ideas. You will not always have this overflowing fountain of great ideas for you. So accept that and embrace that before fighting it. The second step is when you feel bereft and when you feel like you don't have enough things to write about, it's time, and it's your brain telling you to refuel. So I strongly say this every time I've come on an Instagram live and everything, every question answer session, that input dictates output. So when you're a writer, when you're a creator, what you consume, what you take in terms of content and consumption is what is going to dictate your final output as well. Because your tastes and your choices get defined by what you're reading, what you're writing, what you're watching, what you're seeing. So start with consuming more content, reading more books, finding more like minded creators whose work you can follow and see and learn from, and then go on to creating. So whenever you have a writer's block, take a pause, try to see what all new things you can do. It's very good to kind of change your schedule a bit if you're feeling that writer's block, because it's saying that you would probably dried out of ideas at this point. Read a lot more, try to watch a lot more things on TV or Netflix or anything that can get your mind off just from writing. And I'm sure in this process, it might take you a week, it might take you a month, it might take you a day, maybe. There's no timeline fixed or attached to it. but you will eventually find something more beautiful to mull over and create with. So yeah, I think give yourself that time and embrace the fact that writer's block is going to happen.
Yes, so thank you. It is a very common question indeed, and a lot of people were asking about it. So thank you for answering the question. And there is one more question from Blue Leaves community, and they're asking: Is it good to compare your service with others while marketing and slash ads? What one should keep in mind when we are trying to yeah, so they're asking how to present your product to be the better one in the market, and how to deal with this competition thing while promoting others.
Very interesting question. I love these kind of questions. So first thing is, definitely it's a good thing to do, but not in a negative tonality. So when you look at say Surf Excel or any of, mostly I think Vanish ki ad mein they show this, that you know how Vanish works and how other detergents work. They never give a name to the other detergent, although we know which ones are the market leaders and which ones they could be comparing it with. So if it's a blind target, like when you're comparing a service to a blind target, not necessarily doing a one versus one comparison, giving names, I think it's great. But once you try to do one on one and say Surf Excel versus Vanish, then it's unfair, and it shouldn't be negative publicity for anybody. You shouldn't be talking about, and you shouldn't be making claims about anybody else versus your product. So of course, highlighting your USP, talking about your points and what you are better at doing for a consumer is definitely a way to go, because decisions are based on what additional benefit I can get from another brand. So definitely look into that, but don't do it in a negative tonality when you name or shame a brand, or you try to say that their services are not up to the mark. Try and say what you are good at. So I think comparison here will work best if done in a positive tonality.
And yes, so thank you, Kahina.
You
I
don't
feel
have to
that
thank me after every answer.
you're very sweet to talk to, so probably it's coming naturally from. Okay. So there is one more question from Nipun. How do you propose to better our content? How do you propose to better our content? So, like, how do
Okay,
you make
how
that?
do you better your content? Like
Yeah.
I mentioned, Abhi, the key to it, anything that you put effort to will become better. So there is no magic trick, there is no quick fix, there is no crash course that I can give, or anybody can give for that matter. So good writing, good content creation is a function of effort and time that you invest into it. The more time you invest into seeing uh, what all other people are doing, a very important thing is to see what all other people are doing, to get an idea, to improve your tastes and to improve your um, general sensibility and aesthetics. It's great and very highly advisable to see what all's there on the internet. Go surf through Pinterest, go through uh, Instagram, other creators' work, YouTube channels. All of them give you tutorials also. And after you're done with analyzing other people's work, see what all and where all you can improve. If something is not working, for example, you see your page is not picking up. Firstly, don't have unrealistic expectations of your pages picking up. If you're a social media creator, it takes bloody long to make that happen. And I didn't want to use that word, but it literally takes really long to make that happen. Don't think of instant success. Somebody might have made it quick. That doesn't make the job any easier. So for example, to grow even a 10,000 follower account, I took about, and numbers are not all that matter, but I'm just giving you a realistic timeline that for me to grow about 10,000 followers took me about 1.5 years. So and that too when, not 1 year actually, definitely 1.5 years, and that too when I was posting every single day, 2 posts or 1 post every single day. And for a really long time, really long time, nobody even cared or bothered to see what I was doing, and I was just another voice on the internet who wasn't being noticed. So don't have unrealistic expectations. Once you start putting in the effort in terms of reading, improving your writing. A lot of people, as I mentioned earlier, I will continue to say this, that they focus on marketing it by looking at what all they can do to instantly get that boost. Don't look at that. Look at what you can do to improve your content. Look at what you can do to read more. Look at what channels, like, you can, sources that you can probably refer to for self improvement, because those are the ones that are going to actually bring tangible changes and not immediate and quick changes that probably may or may not stay. So that's my advice to you. Please invest the time, research, read, make yourself, educate yourself, train train yourself to do better every single day. That's the only way to get there.
So, yes, I won't thank you this time or else. Yeah. Now, since we are almost done with our webinar and it's already 7 and we won't take much of your extra time. So there we will be answering last three questions that we have.
So,
And one of them is from Deepak, which says, what is the key to bridge gap between school slash college experiences and the corporate slash business world? So,
lovely, lovely answer. I think schools and colleges, as it's highly debated, don't prepare us for the corporate world, and it's highly true, because I was not prepared. I didn't know what to do. I was never trained in Excel. I just was launched into the corporate world without proper training on any of the softwares that I had to use there. um, I think the best you can do, so look at it in this way, that a job can be learned. I mean, it's not that anybody who's in class 10th, 12th, 11th, what I'm doing today, if I explained it to them, they could also do it. It's not like some rocket science. The thing is, it's on the job learning most of the time. So what you can do to build um, a build a stronger base before you step into the corporate world is focus on yourself and become a good communicator. Become, self-sufficient in the way that you've handled stress. I'm talking about a very legitimate thing here. Corporate worlds are stressful. Corporate worlds are demanding. They could source so much out of you without even your knowledge. So I think, look at having a holistic personality, not placing your worth only at your job. Try to embrace the fact that you're young and you will learn in time. So my only advice to you is going to be, become a good communicator, learn to write professionally, in the sense when you're sending out emails, when you're communicating with your colleagues, when you're presenting your ideas. Try to invest in those soft skills, because I think those matter way more in the long run than any technical thing, because technical things can be learned on the job. Once you sit on your desk with, like every single day for at least 10 hours or 8 hours, you will eventually get to know it. Like, it's not that hard. It's not like everybody works. It's not that difficult to learn anything. But what is going to make all of the difference when it comes to senior management positions, when it comes to later on in leadership positions, is going to be your outlook for the world, is going to be your soft skills, how you present yourself, how you hold yourself, how you have conversations, how you look at conflict resolution. So I will recommend reading the Harvard Business Reviews for the different topics that I mentioned. These are extremely insightful and helpful for anybody who tries to understand how to approach leadership, how to approach conflict management. These are not probably something that are going to help you out immediately, but eventually. So I don't think you can immediately prepare for any job, but soft skills will give you the strength to handle any job alongside managing your technical bits.
very true. We've already discussed a lot about how soft skills are really important in any kind of job and not only marketing or content writing in
Right.
general. Yeah. So there is one more question from Kumar, which says that how to upgrade my convening skills. So he has asked it, or like he's probably asking about his convincing skills, how he can improve his convening skills and convincing skills.
Convening will actually be, how do you convene over,
Yeah.
say an event, or convene or chair an event. So that's a
Yeah.
different thing. I think you're talking about convincing skills.
No,
Um,
he's also talking about convening skills and not about
okay.
convincing.
Oh, convening in leadership and management. And convening में सबसे important I think is time management and knowing what needs to happen when. So if you are a convener and you need to know how to make things work, firstly know who all are in your team. If you know what jobs they're supposed to do, if you have discussed it with them, if you have given them, say, a stipulated role to perform in as much time, be hands on and check with them constantly. The good parts and the best conveners are the ones um, who are on top of things in managing. So managing efficiently is coordination. All you have to focus is on coordination and people. So both matching timelines and matching people's expectations. So I hope that answers your question, although it's very ambiguous. The question is very open ended, so I can't give you like specific pointers and situation based answers. But yes, I'm saying this on a broader level, and I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey to you. I hope that's helpful.
I hope that is it has helped him. And the last question for the day is anything you can suggest for tackling negative slash hate comments and criticism over Instagram?
Very real, but I don't know what to say than to either you go into fight mode or you can do the flight mode, but flight mode here is ignorance. So basically Instagram is also giving you these options now to delete negative comments, to go on and turn on this profanity filter. I think somewhere where you can, when anybody posts a comment with certain words, those will get eliminated immediately. But I think the deeper root of it is to say that if you're putting yourself out there and you're creating content, not everybody will have the most beautiful things to say about you. For example, the stars that we were loving till yesterday, now that the nepotism debate has sparked, even the most loved stars are just seeing so much backlash. So even if you're doing great work and for no reason of yours, you could get hate comments. There is no way to stop it. The only way to do it, the only way to focus is आप दुनिया को नहीं चेंज कर सकते तो आप अपने आप को चेंज कर लो. And I hope that like I hope everybody speaks Hindi and they can understand this. If not, I'm just going to translate it in English, that you can't probably change everybody, so you change yourself. So either you start to ignore these and you say, okay, I know that I'm going to get hate comments and I don't need to lash out on them or let my peace of mind go. It's something that I've personally also dealt with, although not too much because I don't get that many hate comments, thankfully. But yeah, I don't think you can escape it. There's no way to actually not get them if you have an open Instagram profile, if you have a content creator's work that you're doing. But to know that you can probably take these measures, which just say blocking these comments, removing them, deleting those comments, those are all things that you can probably do, and try to look into those. If you want to engage with them, not advise, but you can definitely talk to them and try to say, you know what, I'm actually a human being here on the other side of the screen, and you might have said whatever you want to say to vent out whatever frustration that you might have had in the world, but like, why are you channeling it on me? And usually when that happens, whenever I've done that 2 3 times, people melt and they become defensive and they're like, sorry, I didn't mean it in that way. So either they become that or they become too obstinate and they're difficult to deal with. So I would say try and not give them that much importance. Try and say, like, hota hai ki you account for something, then it doesn't surprise you so much. So for example, आपने कोई टेस्ट में अगर थोड़ा सा बुरा किया है and you come back home and you say, okay, I know that maybe मेरे 10 marks कटने हैं यहाँ से, and you come back and when the result comes out, you see, okay, तुम्हारे 10 marks कट गए, तो तुम्हें इतना बुरा नहीं लगेगा. So I think start and keep that expectation right from the outset that you will get hate comments and there's no way to shut them up. The only thing you can do is either engage with them and fight with them and lose your peace of mind, or ignore them and move on and focus on creating content. So that's your choice, and I hope you take the more and you make the more sensible one here.
Yes, thank you for answering the question so gracefully. And with this, I think we are almost done with most of the questions that have been asked related to personal marketing, related to marketing content, and you've really taken a lot of knowledge from this session. And I would really like to thank you for taking out time and helping everybody and motivating everybody on a very positive note at the end of through this session. And we would love to have more such sessions with you. uh, we would also like to thank Alfaz, which is the Literary Society of Delhi Technological University, which has helped us get certain students and have shown a lot of interest in this webinar. So I think with this we can end the webinar. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, DTU, for having me as well. One thing is, if you miss to have your question answered by me, you know where to find me. I'm on Instagram at Words of Worth. My name is Tuhina Raj, and I hope to catch up with you there. Maybe if you have any pending questions left, happy to take them on.
Yes, definitely. So we'll drop the channel name and everything to all the participants who have attended. And thank you so much, Suhina. And if anybody wants to give any feedback, they can give it the live chat or on the WhatsApp.
Happy,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Suhina would be very happy to know. So thank you everyone for attending our webinar session, and we're looking forward to you attending more such sessions. And you can definitely subscribe to our channel for more such career-related webinars. And thank you to Nina once again. So with
Thank you,
this,
thank
yeah. So
you. And thanks,
thank
Nikhil. All right. Okay. Bye bye.
you.